Hello and welcome to the Property Management Show. I'm your host, Alex Osenenko. My day job is the CEO of 4.5, a marketing company that works exclusively with fee-based property management companies. I spent the last 7 years of my life helping property management companies become more successful by improving sales, marketing, and operational efficiency. On this show, we'll deconstruct success into its key components and invite subject matter experts to help you improve every facet of your business. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show. So our topic today is how building a culture of innovation can grow your property management business. And I have a very, very special guest on the show today. I've known this gentleman for 6 years now. And, I guess I'll allow Chris to introduce himself and Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came to be a property manager, your NARPM history, and where you are with your business today.
Okay, I'm Chris Hermanski. I own a property management company in Lake Oswego, Oregon, called Mainlander Property Management. Our emphasis is managing individually owned single-family homes and condominiums. We have a portfolio of it's a little bit of a moving target, but probably 1,300 to 1,400 properties we manage, probably 1,000 to 1,100 clients. I have a degree in business management and have been doing this for 35 years. Kind of fell into the business, selling real estate for a couple of years. That didn't make a ton of money, and so it was right when interest rates were high. So we started managing some houses for builders and just decided that part of it would grow and just kind of built it from there. So we, as far as I've been involved with NARPM since 1997, and I served on the board of directors for NARPM for 8 years. I served as the national president, and then I was one of the founders of the broker-owner event. I chaired the first 2 broker-owner events, and I'm co-chair this year and chairing it again next year. So that's kind of our platform for connecting with owners of property management companies and their principals and dealing with what's new and coming and things that only deal with more business owners instead of an operational focus as much. So,
gotcha, Chris. Well, it's a real honor to have you on the show. I know you're a very busy man. You have a successful business that you're running. Your daughter does some horse racing, right, or horseback riding, I suppose, and you're out, cheering for her, and it catching you and sitting down with you for a few minutes is an honor. So we'll dive right in if you don't mind.
Sure, thank you. An honor to be here.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Chris. So here we go. I'm going to make a statement right now, and I'm going to see what you think about this. So it is really, I don't think there's any more product innovations left. And the way I mean it is, to really build something and new is you have to innovate the factory, so to speak, not the product itself. And the reason I say this is because one of my kind of people I look up to, his name is Damon John. He's with Shark Tank show. He does other investments and such. But what he said really resonated with me. It's like there's nothing new has been introduced for the last 500 years. Like everything is essentially interpretation of old in a kind of packaged in the new way. For example, even Twitter is essentially a pigeon mail, right? It's a little note on a bird, right? That just gets scaled up dramatically with this new digital channel. So, with that, I know that you've been incredibly innovative in your company, and I remember my early Appfolio days when I was with the company for a few months. You were already established client, and that was like only your first year with Appfolio. So, how do you come to be on the forefront of this technology rollout, and how do you pick the good ones?
Well, I think that we're always looking for the next way to improve and to enhance what we're already doing. And, I'm a firm believer in technology and how it can embrace what we're doing and how we can apply it. I often don't look to the property management world. I look to other experiences I have as a customer, because it seems like to me the property management as an industry lags a little behind. So the banking, sometimes even the real estate community, just little things come up. I mean, I've always thought it was pretty cool when I had a dentist appointment and I'd get a text, when I made the appointment, then I get another text the night before, then a third text 2 hours before. It was kind of annoying, but I never missed a dentist appointment. So I thought, wouldn't that be cool if that was an innovation we could do for showings, and so we've looked at that, and we've come up with some a new technology that we think is ground floor, and we're working with these guys, and we hopefully will have that implemented here in the next week or 10 days. So that's one of the things, but you just kind of have to keep your antenna up and try to see what's going on and how it could apply to what you're doing. We were in a software product before that for accounting that was very arcane and wasn't doing well, and ran across one of the people doing some fact finding for a possible property management solution, which ultimately turned out to be Appfolio. So we sat in on some of the initial interviews as essentially what would make a perfect property management program. So we kind of scripted this dream cloud of what it would look like, and lo and behold, they largely built it. So it was something that we were very excited about and things that way. But there's other innovations, the remote lockboxes and, just using standard business technology of scanning and, your answering service or your voicemail system converting the files to WAV files and emailing them to your staff so we can listen while we're doing other things, kind of trying to always be aware of things like that and how to incorporate them, and some of them coming from the industry and some of them coming outside the industry.
I got you. Interesting. So, and I want to dig in a little bit, Chris. I want to kind of just peel your decision-making process a little bit further, if you don't mind. And so a company like Appfolio approaches you, right? It's fairly significant to switch a property management software. How many properties were you there back then when you decided to make a move?
Well, I think we were somewhere in that 1,000+ number.
That is a lot of properties to switch, right? A lot of risk. And you also you told me that you had a gentleman who's a developer at Lead Simple come up to you, and you've spoken with him. His name is Chris, right? Burkampus. So,
right.
I'm just curious, between those two, so Appfolio, you made the move. At Lead Simple, you didn't make the move at the time, but you made the move now. But
Correct.
Here's the question. How do you decide what's good for your company right now and what you need to kind of sit on and see?
Well, a little bit of it is gut, and a little bit of it is what you're seeing, how big your need is. Lead Simple, we felt like, I was a little bit of a fish swimming uphill with my staff, getting everybody to do it. But the accounting, everybody was frustrated with it. So it was an apparent need. So we were eager for that one. And frankly, on that one, we did some beta testing. So we used the system beside our current system. So we were in and out of both systems. And that made it a real easy transition, because it was simply replacing an existing backbone or a significant component of our industry. Whereas Lead Simple is more of a way of capturing and managing contacts that came in. And frankly, in the old days, we could be a little more casual about that. But in today's more competitive world, it's becoming more of it will become a backbone of our business, where we have to have these innovations and be able to track new clients and have more of a CRM type of mentality, where we're tracking people, we're doing some marketing to them, and we're doing it. Although the leads that we get from that may be insignificant compared to the other leads we're generating, it's still one that we can't afford to ignore. It's a little bit of a shotgun approach on that. You have to be able to, you can't always pinpoint every lead where it came from, because many come from different reputations and other things that you've worked on and been a part of, satisfied clients, somebody seeing a vehicle with your name on it in their neighborhood kind of thing, all the way to somebody that called and we kept track of them and we kept marketing to them. And then when they were ready, we were there and we could close the deal at that point. So you just don't know when it's going to be. So we have to have all these different things in place. And some of the technology that's coming out is kind of, hey, that's nice and it's cool, but it's not necessarily I don't want to say life-changing, but it's not a significant part of what you're doing, so it doesn't matter as much. But when you do find those technologies that really could change things, that's when you need to do your due diligence and really work through. And almost all the technology companies will have some sort of a test drive and a demo. And then I always try to get several key members of our staff engaged. So it's just not Chris's idea, because Chris comes up with lots of ideas, but the ones that really hold the water are the ones that the staff embraces, and they can see the learning curve being relatively mild, and also being able to embrace the changes that come there, because we want them to be all fluent in it. They've got to be able to all understand it and work through it. And the pace that we're rolling out technology now is probably every month or two for something new, compared to it was like every couple of years back when 5 years ago, 7 years ago.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I mean, the property management as a business is, I think, growing significantly, and it's got a lot more to grow, headroom to grow, because let's go back to to the housing market, right? I mean, what's going on in the house? People can't afford housing as much, or don't even want to anymore. The millennials, they don't care about owning a home. They want to live in different cities, rent, participate in these exciting jobs and opportunities, and move on, right? So, the market is growing. Property managers are doing pretty well, but as you say, the competition is there as well, and the more efficient you are, the better. But from what I heard, from what I'm hearing, I think so to really keeping the antenna up and looking out for the technologies is, as a business owner, that's your job in everyday experiences. Like,
correct,
whether you're checking into La Quinta Inn or Ritz-Carlton, right? There's something for you to gain from that check-in process that you can take back and say, wow, that was awesome.
Right.
But as far as implementing that tech is really about addressing an existing pain point, not potential future pain point, or just because it's cool.
Right.
So because Appfolio addressed the accounting pain point and you went ahead with it, but at the time, Lead Simple did not.
Correct. When we first started looking at Lead Simple, there was it seemed a little overwhelming. There was a little bit of more of a sales mentality than our staff had been used to using, and we were just kind of folksy and talking to people, where this was requiring a little more detailed information, and we were, frankly, a little casual about it. And so this is going to encourage us and wrap us up as we're embracing it to be a little more detailed. How'd you hear about us? Asking more key questions and capturing more key information. And then doing it in some sort of a system, because we were just using, writing phone logs, so to speak, spiral notebooks and writing information. And now we're going to be actually capturing it and keying it in and having it available so we can follow up with it.
Gotcha. Yeah. So formalizing the sales process has become, in your opinion, for this company at this point in time, a key pain point.
Well, we have to be.
Or opportunity. Right.
Yeah, because to get the business, we have to.
So that is interesting. I know. How do people find you? Why do all these tech companies come to you, Chris Hermanski, and say, "Hey, Chris, can we show you this new stuff? Can we kind of brainstorm with you?" How do they find you?
Well, we have. I'm sure just simply because we're in the business and have, and it's not all them finding us. We go find them too. We ask questions, and we participate in the. On the national scene, we go to the NARPM convention and the NARPM broker owner, where they have trade shows and things like that. We've also participate in our local market. We have an apartment association that has a significant convention, so to speak, and we attend that. They have a trade show, and they have different technologies that they're exhibiting theirs. And then again, just kind of like what I said earlier, I'm paying attention to what I'm experiencing in my just everyday life, and then sometimes I'll research and call people and say, how do we apply this to that industry? And I haven't done a ton of that, but that has been how we've kind of latched on to some things that are beginning to happen. Remote lockboxes, for example, we looked at that when the real estate community had it, but there were so many hoops to go through that it wasn't there. And then finally it showed up maybe 4 or 5 years ago at a trade show. And when I saw it, I was ready for it. So I bought immediately, because I already knew how I could use it and what the benefits were. Then when I went and met with the company provider, they were able to elaborate a lot more in things that I'd never even thought of as far as usages and how to use it. Now, not all of those, we've kind of refined our process, so we're kind of picking up the top layer of things that we're using, but nevertheless, the technology's there, and it's been a real time saver.
Now, has that been successful, the Lockboxes implementation for you?
To a degree, it allows us flexibility to do things, and the kind of lockbox I'm referring to is one where we can give a person a code that only works for a short window of time, maybe 1 to 4 hours, and they can see it and things like that. So, but you have to have your stage set. Your clients have to know you're utilizing it. It only works in certain circumstances for us, so we really can't do total blind showings without staff being there. But we can. It's just a tool, and that's what we're always looking for: is one more tool to be able to help us to be more efficient in what we're doing, because if we're able to do things with more efficiently, then our people can work smarter, and we don't need as many people. And in this type of business, the big expense that we run against is salary and payroll. So we've got to, if we can keep that down and save a person here or a person there, then that puts us ahead, and we can add more capacity. We do a lot with our staff that we have now.
Really good, really good. So has there been any unsuccessful or things you regretted that you've implemented? You don't have to name the company, but maybe the what have you tried to solve that didn't get solved?
We've struggled a little bit with the we're still struggling with the inspection programs, for example. We've tried a couple of the better named ones, and they're good, but they've had their little pitfalls, and so most of the staff still prefers to use pictures and some sort of a written correspondence. We've tried video, we've tried other different technologies, and other people swear by them, but I just haven't been able to get a wide acceptance and enough where it works. I think that's the one we're going to try to work through this year, is to look at a little more at the inspection programs and how those work. We do 3 types of inspections: the move in and the move out, and then a periodic inspection. And the periodic ones the softwares work for. It's the move in, moves out that it's a little more cumbersome, and the staff routinely likes to use more of a low-tech option for that.
So they feel that the current application or solution inhibits their efficiency, not necessarily improves it.
Exactly. It's just more cumbersome and more. Again, you've got to equip them with some sort of a tablet device that has ideally some connectivity, so they can save things and all that. And we've got some of that going, but when we have a potentially 10 to 12 people out doing inspections and move-ins and move-outs, then it just is hard to get all of that uniform. And granted, there's ways we can improve it, and we probably haven't tried as hard as we could have, but it hasn't been an easy swap yet, and so we're still dealing with, as you put it, the pain point.
Gotcha. Interesting. And what is your most successful tech implementation?
Well, obviously, I think it's been the AppFolio has been the simplest, simply because it really we found something that's cloud-based, which we're all very skeptical for at first.
Yeah.
But that together probably with digital photography and using pictures in that regard, and doing things that way. The Lockbox has been a successful one. Some of the those are the ones that come to the forefront at first. We went to cloud-based email versus a server-based email program, and probably better not to identify a lot of different programs. But that was a difficult curve. But once we got through it, then everybody really embraced it. We just loved the idea of having everything cloud-based and being able to do that. But there was a learning curve and a little bit of awkwardness we had to work through. And once we got through that, it's been good. So we've been able to do cloud-based spreadsheets, cloud-based Word documents, word processing, and things that way, and using the different kinds of online storage that all of those accompany, whether it be like a Dropbox or a Google Drive or something there.
Gotcha. Can you, Chris? You had this experience more than a lot of people. So maybe you can share. Is there a specific kind of maybe methodology for a rollout? Maybe you haven't really put it on the paper, but kind of what's the role? Like Chris has the idea. What's then? I mean, you just came up with something. What happens next?
Well, I probably run it by a couple of people. I have a couple of I have a young millennial that is he's my son-in-law, and he's new to the industry, and he's working for me now, but I run it by him and kind of get is this have any value kind of thing. And so he listens, he looks at it, and then he actually flips things back to me sometimes, and so we talk about them, and then we settle together. But I kind of get the idea, and I run it by him. And then I have my general manager, who is a seasoned veteran, and she kind of looks at it, and she's a good balance, because I'm I'm what they call a quick start. I like to get things going, but I don't I don't have the patience built in, pre-wired to me to finish it out and get it going. I kind of depend on other people to help me do that, and she does a good job. So she's always trying to, it's not a deflection process; it's an honest evaluation process. And so when we started looking at online scheduling, for example, we ran it by her, and she liked the idea, and we figured out how to embrace it. And then I had her sit in on several of the demos that we went through and saw how the program was going to work. And so it appeared that we had some traction, and it was really filling a void that we had, or kind of a frustration we were experiencing, and maybe a way to improve that. And so once we kind of flushed it through and we got a thumbs up by the initial couple of people, then we kind of go to a more detailed level of looking at pricing and looking at implementation, what it would look like. And then we try to do some sort of a test drive and try it out. And there's been a few things we've test drove, and, like I mentioned previously, that didn't work so well. And so we kind of bailed out at that point. And other times the people that were selling the products were happy to have the feedback, because then they could take the feedback and utilize it and try to figure out what they could do to improve it, or maybe we could understand it better and things like that. A little bit that's what's happened with Lead Simple. Is in its raw format, it wasn't as easy, but once we've got the third-party companies working with it and they've enhanced their part of it, we're seeing a real benefit in how it could work.
Gotcha. So if I may, I'm going to just summarize this in a plan, because I think people who don't really have the opportunity to implement all these technologies don't really know a really good process. But I think I'm getting some gold nuggets from you here. So here's the few bullet points I've isolated, right? First, sounding board. Doesn't need to be an industry expert, can be an industry expert, but maybe a couple of broker friends, son-in-law that's tech, somebody smart, somebody you want to run this technology by and get their ideas, even though they're not in the industry. So you get that sounding board, you get past that stage, go to your VP, go to your next in line, go to your GM, and have them do the initial vetting or validation, okay? And have their opinion, kind of heard and understand whether you want to go to the next step. Next, you do demo, review, then you actually have to get your hands dirty and test the product. So if you create some kind of a plan to roll your sleeves up and test the product, and then you make a decision. Does that sound right?
That sounds right, spot on.
Perfect. Well, we got a real true step by step here. That's really awesome. All right, Chris. Look, I know you're very, very busy. I don't want to take too much of your time. If you have only one advice that you can give to newer property managers, growing property managers, what would that be?
I would surround myself with other people that do what you do. So go to, I'm a big fan of NARPM, but participate in their events. Have a mentor or somebody that you can brainstorm with that does what you do. Ideally not in your market, so there's no apprehension about sharing ideas and things and how they work. And you can sometimes play off each other and work together and learn from that. And then I would keep my eyes and ears open, both in the property management industry and outside of it, for technological advances, and see how you can apply them to your business.
That is excellent advice, Chris. I really appreciate your time. I hope to see you at Broker Owner in a few weeks.
Okay.
And thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thank you.